Ah, cool. I feel like a celebrity with this. All right. Hopefully this records it. I can just hope now. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So where were we going from here? Like, I think the 80/20 rule is pretty much summarized.
We start from the beginning, and you kind of repeat everything you said.
Sure. Okay. So again, the way 80/20% rule works is quite simple. However, one thing you need to know before we even dive into the 80/20% rule is the 80/20% rule, 80/20 rule, whatever, only apply. Well, not only, but typically it only applies if you are B2C. If you're Instagram, listen up. If you're Facebook, listen up. If you're a B2B app, you can just ignore this because this might not work for you. It might work if your users are typical B2C users, but it's most likely not going to work just because of the data behind who uses B2B apps. Now, here's how it actually works. Let's assume that you're actually B2C and you're listening. Typically, for B2C apps, we've found that the 80/20% rule applies. And the 80/20 rule dictates as follows. 80% of your traffic is coming from 20% of your articles. 80% of your traffic comes from 20% of your articles, right? Or 20% of your articles convert or bring 80% of your traffic. Whatever. We're going to stop there for a second. 80% of traffic brings 20% results, or 20% comes from 20% articles. Now, let's take in that the typical article has 50 typical KB has 50 articles, which is pretty common for B2C apps, I think. It's usually under. But if you have under 50 articles, 80% 20 rules apply. So under 50 articles and you are B2C, this works. Under 50 articles and that much. Why? Because after 50 articles, it just becomes hard to scale because you can't do 80%. If you can't, like 20% of like 100 is 20, and that's kind of high, and 20% of 150 is fucking 25, and that's still kind of high. Sorry, 100 that's 30. You know, you can't list out 30 articles. It's just hard on the eyes, especially because you have so many articles. It doesn't work. So, point is if you have 50 articles or less, and you are B2C, this is going to work. Now, here's how it works. Again, we said 20% of your articles, 20% of your traffic comes from, 80% of your traffic comes from 20% of your articles. Which, if we combine the math, 20% of 50 is 10. 20% of 50 is 10 because 20% of your articles produce 80% of your results. 20% of your 50 is 10, produces 80% of your traffic. Now, let's imagine that each and every one of these articles have a quote-unquote 50% success rate. 50% success rate, in this case, that means that 50% of the people that reads one of these 20 articles, 50 articles, 10 articles, however many you have, that falls under this rule, 50% of them won't send you an email. Right?
Right.
Which means if I send X amount of people to this knowledge base article, and if they see these 10 articles, I know for a fact that under these 10 articles, 50% of them won't send me an email. So and if that's my highest success rate, I want to send as much traffic there as possible, right? Now, if we apply the 80/20 rule in design, what we can do is we can find out the top 10 articles, right? And if they have a 50% success rate, what if we get them 10% more traffic? Just 10%. Somehow, magically, we get these 20% of your articles 10% more traffic. Well, if they get 10% more traffic, and each and every one of them have a 50% success rate, that means that you're going to have a 50% success rate on these 10%, which is, by increasing it by 10%, you've actually decreased support by 5%, because 10% times 50% is 5%. And again, 10% is how much you increased it, and 50% is the success rate. which equals to 5% extra success rate, if you will, just by increasing it. Now, the way you increase it, and by the way, it's typically more than 10% if you do this strategy. It's typically 20%. So if you do it 20% at a 50% success rate, you're going to increase your traffic by 10%. 10% less support emails. Listen up, players. So you have your top 10 articles, right? You have your top 10 that convert 50% success rate, and you're like, fuck yeah. And you want to get more traffic. Well, all you have to do is put it right underneath the search box. That's it. You just put this bad boy underneath the search box. The number one element, search box. After that, people will look at search box. Nope, not helpful. They look at this. Cool. This is the at one. Boom. I just click on it. Boom. Click. Boom. 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 This list basically goes here. So you want it very close to the search box from a UX perspective.
Yeah.
This principle applies. So again, 80% of your traffic comes from 20% of your knowledge base articles if you have under 50 articles. This means that if they have 50% success rate, assuming they do, even if they have 30% success rate, if you increase their traffic by 10%, 20%, whatever the amount is, by exposing them to be on the landing page and only showing them, because that way people see them and they're like, okay, here you have it, you can hire one. Or you can do like Intercom did, show them in the categories. Whatever you decide to do, as long as you feature them, get more traffic, it's going to increase your overall success rate. If you have a 50% success rate and you increase it by 10%, that's 5% overall extra support, extra less support emails.
Awesome, awesome. That's cool.
Cool. Moving on. Class.
Oh, wait, done?
Yeah, no. What's your other points that you written down? I'll comment.
Oh, okay. So the next one would be design. That's what we talked about. Design in the sense, not like user experience, but like the whole customization we have as opposed to other solutions.
Sure.
Whereas others may be, color links, background, or logo. That's the usual customization, and we can have like any millions ideas you have. We can do the designs, whatever the clients want, we make.
Sure, okay, well, let's just stop there. So that's something I know Eldon told you, right? He did, didn't he?
Eldon, well, and Davor.
Yeah, okay, well, those are reasons to choose help juice. We're talking about knowledge bases in general. We're talking about whoever you choose, these are the things you have to have.
Yeah.
So we should maybe brush on why it's important to have a customized knowledge base. And the reason why it's important to have a customized knowledge base just comes down to brand. It just helps build out brand awareness, and that's all I could tell you, really. And that's not really helpful. So I mean, it's nice of them to say that, but it's also shitty of them to say that because that's kind of stupid. I mean, everyone knows this. Like, this isn't mind blowing. Like the 80-20% rule, in my opinion, is mind blowing because no one thinks about that shit. No one thinks about it.
Do you have a suggestion?
Sorry?
Like, do you have a suggestion for something we can replace instead of that?
I don't know, but like, just keep on going. I might think of something. I don't have anything off the top of my head, but I do recommend downloading the ebook and taking a look because there's a few examples that I've written down.
Sure. Then we moved on to content segmentation. We talked about the whole internal versus external, and the that were mentioned in the wording of ABC class. Only specific
class. Did Davor tell you? Did Davor explain the ABC class, or do you want me to dive into it?
Yeah, he did, and he sent me an article that I'm going to read everything about content segmentation.
Sure. Let me just give you a quick overview of that as well. Sure. So let's pretend you're Mercedes-Benz, okay?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know, but I have an AMG, okay?
Yeah.
So I know it sounds fucking snobby. Check this out.
I know.
So Mercedes actually is 3 companies, and a lot of people don't know this. Most people think of Mercedes as Benz, right? Mercedes-Benz, you know? And then you have AMG, Mercedes-AMG, and then you have McLaren. Have you heard of the company called McLaren? No. You haven't?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so that's the thing about they segment their audience, right? Now, This, on the other hand, is how most knowledge base looks like. Just a huge question mark. We don't know who the fuck you are. We're just going to show you everything.
Yeah.
And modern day websites have become very smart. Have you ever been on one of those websites where it's like, hi, we noticed you're from Sarajevo. Here's some local matches from Sarajevo. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. So they're very smart about where you're coming from, and they feed that into the website to make it more relevant to you. Now, knowledge bases don't do this. And content segmentation allows you to segment your users based off demographics, whatever, and show them the content that's more appropriate to them. In other words, if I just installed your app, I probably don't want to see. Okay, let's just go back here for a second. So let's pretend you're an AMG customer, right? AMG customer typically falls in the category can't afford a $2 million car, but doesn't want an ordinary Mercedes-Benz because it's too slow. So learning about safety features might not be the most helpful to an AMG customer. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, they could strip away the safety articles, right?
Right.
AMG probably cares about speed, so they should probably highlight speed, right? Like as in like how to make your AMG faster or whatever. McLaren customers probably don't even care about anything except how do I get one, right? Because by the time you want a McLaren, you know what it is. You don't have to be sold. However, Mercedes-Benz customers are comparing Mercedes-Benz to all these customers because the price point is 30 grand to get a Mercedes-Benz, which means there's so many options, which means you're going to ask so many questions, so you want to learn as much as possible. So this is the 3 classes of users. 1, 2, 3. This is just an example. Now, you can do the same for businesses. You have your new users, sorry, we'll call them A users. You have your A class. You have your B class, which is like, like they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They're actually maybe still trying out your software, but kind of already almost an advanced. And then you have your C users. These are the guys that know your shit inside out and actually have some very technical questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they're very technical, they probably don't need most of the content. They probably, let's say, only need, well, these are some bad examples. Let's say they just want to maybe enhance their communications, right? So these 2 articles might only be helpful for them, right?
Yeah.
So these articles won't be helpful, these articles won't be helpful, these articles won't be helpful, these articles. And again, going back to the 80-20% rule, what we did there is we increased the visibility of these articles, whatever, and drove more traffic to them. Basically, it comes down to simplifying stuff, showing less because you know more about the customer. So by knowing more about the customer, I can show less. And by showing less, I have a higher percentage of people clicking on the things I'm showing, right? If you have 2 options, yes or no, you can't really say maybe. You only have yes and no. Same here. If you only have 2 options here, you're only going to click on one of these 2 options, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is most knowledge bases show everything. So this is the C class.
Mm-hmm.
B class would maybe be everything plus this right here, right?
Yeah.
And then A class would be maybe just this, because if you show them everything, you're just going to bore them to death, or you're going to scare the shit out of them. A class ideally would have, instead of I want to, a small video on how to get started. You know?
Yep.
Here to get started. So A class knows that you're A class. Now, that makes sense, right? Just basically means segment your content. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Now, the coolest thing ever is that because the modern day applications are smart, your modern day application can tell you if it's an A class user, B class user, or C class user. It's very simple. At Help Juice, we look at how many questions that person added. So if they added more than 10 questions, we know that they're pretty fucking techie. So we could maybe shoot them a knowledge base link that would only include C class categories, aka content segmented categories for that specific user group.
Yeah.
So that way they could see that. So that's one version of using content segmentation. Another one would be your product serves 2 different people. Your product serves both, let's say, people looking for jobs and people, posting jobs. You know what I mean? Like It's a portal in Bosnia. They're like Monster.com or Indeed, where people can find jobs and post jobs. So people that are posting jobs probably don't give a fuck about what the best way to find a job. With content segmentation, they could strip away all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's another reason. So there's two ways to use it. Improving your user experience for your knowledge base by delivering more relevant content to that specific user. And that's actually the same for the second reason. Delivering more content, delivering more helpful content to that specific user, because a guy that wants to sell a car or post a resume doesn't care about how you buy a car or how do you find a job. So it's just basically being more targeted with who you show shit to.
Sure. That makes sense.
The article is probably going to explain it as well, so I obviously do recommend looking at it. But that's a high-level overview of how that works.
Yeah, that's great. Because this way I can visualize it as well as read it. So
totally.
Yeah. So I guess the final point, if we're going to move on to that, what is written here is something that we worded it as simplicity in content creation.
Sure.
To which points were like rich and powerful text editor.
Yep.
All you need for your personal knowledge base is to create categories and fill the content.
So again, these articles are very much salesy, and I don't know why they told you this, but that's fucking salesy as fuck. Anyway.
Okay. What can I guess, okay, so we agree on the search button. We agree on that. We agree on using analytics in your design, which we changed from just.
No, it's not that. It's not. They just completely gave you the answer to a completely different question. They gave you the answer to how do I know if a knowledge base platform is good, not if a knowledge base. A knowledge base and a knowledge base platform is completely different. Help Juice is not a knowledge base. Help Juice is a knowledge base platform, which means Help Juice allows you to create a knowledge base. And we're overviewing the things you need in a knowledge base, which means a knowledge base platform shouldn't tell you this stuff. A knowledge base isn't going to have a rich text editor because it's a knowledge base. You don't actually edit shit on it. You know what I mean? You read stuff. Anyway, so we're optimizing for consumption. We're not optimizing for content creation. Knowledge base platforms should do that. You know?
Yeah.
So
okay.
I guess we have to train our employees to actually understand the difference between what they sell and what the users buy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe I just worded it wrong when I explained.
No, it's fine. But the great news is I can actually answer this question. Well,
yeah.
So the question is, how do you, once they actually land on the article, how do you make sure you have that 50% success rate, 80% success rate, whatever success rate, right? How do you make sure your content is so good people actually want to read it? It's like a blog. You know, okay, we figured out a way to design the blog. We figured out ways to drive traffic to the blog. We figured out topics for the blog. How do you actually get people to engage with the content, right?
Yeah.
And again, this has nothing to do with the blog. This is only for knowledge bases.
Sure.
So let's look at Intercom. Instantly, we see the subject, the headline right here. It's very clear what I'm reading. It's very clear what I'm reading again. And then it's also very clear what this is going to help me do. For user analysis, tracking events, and Intercom. And then it gives me two content mediums. A content medium can be in several formats, obviously. One of the formats is video. And that seems to be very common. However, not everyone's going to want video, so they have an actual nicely designed knowledge base article. Yeah. So in this case, this is a video. I can play this video, or I can read everything. And even better, I don't have to scroll here to figure out what. Intercom lets me identify where I'm currently at by using their quick navigation. So, okay, I'm doing custom events. I just want to know exactly how do I delete events. Boom. I click on it. It shows me this. It's very, very simple. I don't have to read through the article to actually figure that out. So it's very easy to do that because of this quick navigation. So by having a quick navigation, your users are able to jump in rather than bounce off your knowledge base article because you didn't lay it out nicely. Quick navigation lays it out nicely for you so that your users can click on exactly what they want. And if they don't know what they want, they can always read from the beginning or watch the video.
Yeah.
Another thing to do is to be careful about how many paragraphs you use. Intercom uses a nice paragraph, shows you a nice image, a nice intro paragraph, nice image, a few examples of using these events, when to use events versus something else, and then they start diving in use cases and all this stuff. It's very smooth. And if you look at their content, it's actually very easily digestible from a visual standpoint. It's not really hard on the eyes. While, for example, I hate to be a fucking dick, but this is an example where it's help.them. That's good. Actually, they've improved their knowledge base a lot. So as you can see, this is their knowledge base. Let's just click on this one. Okay, that's probably not a good article. Let's be fair. So let's select their featured articles. Okay, introducing Zendesk multi-brand. Sweet. I mean, this is not bad, but it has no images. It's like just we've managed to create the brand relationships. Tickets have brand value, views. Okay, it's kind of cool, but it's like it's just fucking like when you compare this next to this, I get it. Here I can understand. For example, Zendesk could have done something like multi-brand, like enterprise users, use cases for multi-brand, changes in the product, and that could always had something right here, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing they could have done. Another thing is the fucking text is hard to read. Look how small this is, and look how big this is. So the text has to be small, and the everything is just perfect about the way it's structured. Plus, people love to read 500 pixels. So if you look at the length, this is 640, sorry. It's not that bad. It's not exactly 646, but whatever. This is actually technically better, but it actually feels worse for some reason. It actually feels longer. I don't know why. Point is it's a lot harder to read. It's a lot harder on the eyes rather than this. So you want to have it like that. So again, to recap, video, quick navigation always helps, as well as smooth transitioning, as well as using tons of images that are very clear and have a good point with your text and just flow well with the text, as well as having the entire article flow well in a natural case. In this case, just look at it just chronologically. It makes a lot of sense. I just started using it I want to become a master in it by using best practices. So it goes from novice or novice, whatever, to master, to Zen master, or whatever. And it's for that person to identify themselves. So it's kind of like content segmentation, where you're like, oh, this is where I belong, but users always select. I mean, it's not really like content, but it just allows the users to segment themselves what they want to read.
Right.
That's it. I think if you cover this well, I think that's fucking mind-blowing, honestly. Because no one talks about this stuff.
Sure, but what do I call that? What is that?
This?
Yeah.
Right.
What would I call that?
Writing A-class articles, or A-grade articles, or amazing articles, or the secrets behind amazing articles, or the secrets behind articles that actually get people to do stuff, or the secret behind not having a shitty article, or the secret behind an article that has 0% bounce rate, or not bounce rate, because bounce rate is irrelevant because they're going to read the article and they're going to bounce off the site because they don't have anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
6 a.m. This is when I'm supposed to wake up, dude. Anyway.
Shit. What if we call them secrets behind actionable articles?
That works as well. I like that. Secret behind actionable articles. I love it.
Okay. Sure. Okay, well that basically that would replace the last point, but there was one more that we had to.
Okay.
Yeah, we mentioned why it's important to have a customized knowledge base.
Okay, that's bullshit. I mean, talk to them again or something, but I mean, it just has to look at it. It has to feel part of your company. That's it. Like there's not much to it. Like I would either replace that one or I don't know. I think it's better if you're going to include that one, just don't include it at all and might write these in more detail. By the way, let's keep it under 2,000 words in general from now on. I actually read somewhere it's not good to have 2,000 words. So let's keep it around 1,000, 1,000 and a half, or whatever. Just not too many words.
For this?
In general, just because, In general, it's like no point to write too long articles. So 1,000, 1,000 and a half, perfect. Not too much, again.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, is there anything at the top of your head that you can like maybe say that we can replace this whiteboard to have a customized KB? So we have the content segmentation, secrets behind actionable articles, and using analytics in your design. So we have like one more point to add. Like, is there anything at all you can like?
Let me think.
You can come up with.
Let me think. Let me see if I have an ebook right here.
Sure.
What am I thinking? Like, if you ask them the question properly, or I don't know if they understood you or whatever, but there's obviously a disconnect. If you ask them that, they'll help you out. They might be able to come up with one idea, but I'm trying to think of one right now off the top of my head. Let me see. No, that's actually even in the ebook. That's really it, man. I would focus on those four if you can't get five. Like, it's fine. My point is this: if you write amazing articles with 4 points, like 4-point articles can be better than 5-point articles. It's not just about quantity. If you make those four and you go into depth on why they work and you break down the formula and make it designed nicely, people are gonna go apeshit over that, man. So.
Yeah, I also feel that we're maybe pushing too much with a fifth one. Like these are.
Let's just do four. Let's do four.
Yeah, let's focus on that.
Do it awesome. Like, I'm talking, like, by the way, was I right about the latest post or what?
Right about what?
So this is off topic. Actually, I'm going to stop recording right now.